Hey everybody, on to part 2 of my Battletech Let's Play. This is Battletech, a game of Armored Combat, the big 8 mech box set with the full rules and full sort of like gamut of mech warfare stuff for Battletech. Now this covers proportionately just mechs. You don't get rules necessarily for the aerospace units and infantry. Trains, battleships, all that stuff. If you're looking for the core rules for that, you want to get Battletech Total Warfare, which has all the advanced rules. Every possible permutation of chart and table is in this glorious book. But if you want to just play Battletech with mechs, as lots of people do, then Battletech, the game of Armored Combat, gets you everything you need out of the box, as well as 8 mech miniatures for a bunch of different battle mechs, some cardboard standees for terrain, a paper gaming mat to play on, and all the dice, cards, a primer for the background of the universe, and same sort of things that came in the beginner box. It's an expanded beginner box. So if you're a bit more sure than just trying it out for 20 bucks with the beginner box, and want to dive right into the game, then this is probably the box set for you. It also has some Alpha Strike cards. So you do, if you want to get the Alpha Strike rulebook, have a lot of value in this box just for the mechs and the cards themselves. And this was the first place the Catalyst released their plastic battle mechs, and they are super cool. So we're going to throw down the, I think it's called Training Day. It's the first core mission in this rulebook, which pits 2 equal forces against each other. So to do this, you need to either use the cardboard standees as the op 4, or paint a second set of the miniatures, which is what I did. And we're going to play it on, again, just like in the beginner box Let's Play, I played it on a neoprene mat just because it's prettier, and I made some 3D scenery for it. So I'll still show you all the stuff that comes in the box, but we'll jump right in and show you the sort of more in detail game rules that come in this box set. So here's our Game of Armored Combat box set. You get all kinds of cool stuff in here. You're going to get 8 battle mechs. I got 7 of them painted here because I forgot number 8 at home because I was copying their paint scheme on a new model. You get a beautiful Awesome, a Battlemaster, a Wolverine, Shadowhawk, Locust, Catapult, and Commando, all in hard plastic. You also get a Thunderbolt, but I forgot him at home because I was copying the paint scheme on some new miniatures, and I don't need him for the game, which is why I took them home. And then on top of that, you're also going to get standees for an op 4 and some additional terrain. You get a paper mat. You can see here folded out, and obviously for the Let's Play I just wanted to use something that was a bit nicer on camera, so I'm using the cool neoprene mat available from Catalyst as well, and some 3D terrain elements that I made for it. But it comes in 2 sides. You get a excellent grass side as well as a Martian side. You get your record sheets, you get your photocopier ready for all of your battle mechs that come in the box. So these are they're a bit different from the ones that you saw in the first game that I did. Those ones basically only had this half. So those nice color ones that were in the beginner box, they make you track this stuff. And now we're gonna track all this stuff. So like when you land, if you ever roll snake eyes on a hit roll, you might do a critical hit. You roll on the critical hit table to see where it lands, and then you can break things inside. So you could break like their lasers, you could break their actuators, you could break the heat sinks on the battle mech. All kinds of things can happen. You have to track their heat and their internal structure, which is the damage they take after all their armor gets blown off. And also, you can get shot in the back. So if you get shot in the back, your armor comes off the back. And there's a whole lot of different things that can happen when you have too much heat as well. So every battle mech not only tracks just the damage they're taking and their pilot and stuff, but you're also going to track how much damage the inside of your mech takes and all of its critical effects too. It generate a lot of paper. So just to play Lance on Lance, which is what we're going to do today, I have 8 sheets of paper, 1 for each of these mechs. And typically what will happen is you're going to use a pencil and you're going to mark these things up. So don't mark up your originals, photocopy them, and leave these nice and pristine because you will need these later. This, the most wonderful cheat sheet ever, which has most of your really important data. You'll see most of the stuff in here is relatively similar to in the beginner box. You've got your gator for shooting stuff. So your gunnery skill, attacker movement modifier, target movement modifier, any other sort of like modifiers, and then your range modifier. So lots of stuff to compute, obviously. About as much as like, there's probably as many modifiers in this game as maybe like 2nd edition 40k. So if you played 2nd edition 40k, it's probably about the same amount of modifiers. And then physical attacks. So when you're punching and kicking and you're using your piloting skill instead of your gunnery skill, how much heat you generate whenever you do anything. So each of these things generates heat, and that can spike your heat. And then your physical attack table, so like the things that modify your physical attacks, where you get hit. And then if you roll the snake eyes, determining where the critical hits are. And the effects basically could be additional. If you roll boxcars in a critical hit, you just blow the head or a limb off and roll for 3 critical hit locations. The other side has even more stuff, like your movement costs, punch locations, kick locations, different levels table. So what happens when you're fighting like different levels? You're facing when you fall down. You're piloting skill roll table. So things that are like happening to the mech that can change the piloting skill roll. So like if you take 20 damage in a single phase, it's harder to do things with the mech. If your fusion reactor shuts down, obviously that's going to be a problem. You got to get restarted. If your hip actuator is destroyed, because it makes it harder for it to walk. Tons of different modifiers, and then down here the cluster hit table for when you're firing missiles and rockets. This primer with a beautiful picture of an Atlas in the front. Oh, I can't wait to have a miniature of an Atlas. That's in plastic. It looks like that's gonna be so cool. And it has the timeline of the game, basically like the description of like the Star League and how it fell apart and how they became the clans and different houses. A little bit more in depth than the one that came in the beginner box, but lots of cool. Like again, I like that they kept the old school art. Like it makes me happy that the art is so of its time. And then, of course, descriptions about some Mech Warriors, and then what other things you might want to get, including the book I just showed you, the Total Warfare book that expands it with all the rules for aerospace and tanks and submarines and stuff. A sweet, sweet Kobe's Commando little novella to teach you a little bit more about what's going on in the game and about the mechs themselves, which is pretty cool. And then last but not least, you get your rulebook. And this rulebook is nice and compact, actually. The core rules of the game aren't too long. If I was to give kind of an overview, the gameplay itself isn't super dense. The modifier tables and stuff look really intimidating, but they're not. The record keeping is probably the most time-intensive part of playing Battletech. But because your sheets are all pre-filled for you, you're ready to go. All I do is photocopy them, I get out my mission to start off with, and I'm ready to play. So setting up. All right, we need our 2d6. We need to get our tables out, which we've already done. All of our skills are going to be determined by the scenario itself. And then we're going to go through the sequence of play. So in the first 3 phases, well, the 2 and the 6 are going to look familiar. So the initiative, just like in the beginner box, movement phase, where we get to generate our movement points based on the type of movement we want to do and move around. Weapon attack phase, again, it's all simultaneous, so everything attacks and you apply damage at the end. Physical attacks, so punching and kicking, if you're in hex like contact with another mech, you can do those. But they happen after shooting attacks. The idea being that like pulling a trigger happens way faster, obviously, than punching and kicking does. The heat phase, where you apply all the heat for your movement for that turn, and then end phase, resolve any like other conditions and stuff and reset. Add-ons from the beginner box are the physical attack phase, if we do manage to get into melee, the heat phase where we apply all of our heat, and then the end phase. Playing with more than one mech. So another thing to add on is going to be if there's an unequal number of mechs remaining. So you're going to go back and forth. Obviously in the beginner box it was one mech on one mech, so it was pretty easy to determine I go, you go, I go, you go. In this one, you're going to go back and forth activating mechs during the movement phase and then back and forth shooting. So when you have an unequal number, though, you'll have to move more than one at the same time. So let's say if the move number is 1, and then if someone has 10 units left, and then, the number of units left and how many models each side has to move. So basically, once you're 2 to 1, so if you have 2 mechs left to my 4, you're going to have to activate 2 before I activate 1. We go back and forth. And it's basically just half rounding up. Once you get to that point, when you're looking on the table, you start activating different numbers of mechs. You can see here, if this side has 8 units left and this side has 16, side A is going to move 2 before they move 1. And it pretty much goes to the next half, right? So 2 to 4, it's 2 to 1. But when it's tied 4 to 4, don't have to worry about it. All right, so we're going to play a game to demonstrate the rules. Again, if you haven't watched the beginners box Let's Play, I am going to overview how to do Gator and setup and stuff like that, but we'll get right to setting up a game for your first game. And conveniently, you do get a bunch of scenarios in here for playing through. And the first one's called Final Exam, that's what it was. So it's 2 training officers, and they've hired some mercenaries here from the Great Death Legion to face off against their Taurian Guard. So you see I've got the exact same mechs here painted on each side, and they're going to face off, and they're going to duel until one side loses a mech, at which point the game's going to be over. Otherwise, this will be a very long Let's Play. Experienced training officers feel their students are ready. The cadets' combat and leadership skills are tested with a final exam. Before starting their simulated battle, 2 students are gravely informed that the military academy will only accept 1 cadet. The loser will simply have to abandon their dreams of becoming a mech warrior. In fact, the training officer is making all that up, but the deception, common in the inner sphere, usually creates the kind of fierce competition mech warriors will face in the battlefield. This scenario recreates the final exam experience by nearly every student mech warrior in the inner sphere. The scenario also simulates the lance-on-lance engagements that comprise most battle mech warfare. So you lay out the deserts and grass map 2 maps shown, so we're just going to use this. It's the same way. So the mat in the box is basically half of one of these, so we're the right width apart. The Defender training mech officer has chosen a lance with mostly light and medium mechs for the trial, but has supplied the Lance Commander with a catapult. So the Lance Commander in the catapult is going to have piloting 5, gunnery 4, and these are mirrored on both sides. And the cadets are all going to be piloting 5-4, 5-4, 5-4. I'll mark that all on my record sheets here. I don't really have to worry about the names and stuff like that. Of course, you're playing a campaign, you want to name your mech warrior pilots because they can take damage and stuff. I'm just going to put down that this sheet's for the Great F Legion, and they've all got gunnery of 4 and a piloting of 5, and this is the Taurians, and they're 4 and 5 as well. To keep the test fair, the training officer is given both sides of the same battle mechs. Deployment, the Defender chooses one of their battle mechs, and as you can see here, they want you to put the 2 maps together, because this is designed to be played with both players having the same box set, basically. So the idea here is you can't really play it at a 1 box set. You could, I guess, if you somehow got 2 mats, but you'd have to play it with standees if you're using 1 box set, or if you each have a box, then you put the mats next to each other, and that's actually this size anyway. The Defender chooses one of their battle mechs and places it on any hex along the west edge of the playing area. The attacker then chooses one of their battle mechs and places on any hex along the edge east. The players alternate placing their mechs in this way until all 8 are placed, and then play begins. So let's say the Taurians are defending and the evil Great F Legion's attacking. They would go back and forth. So let's say this catapult wants a good field of fire. It's going to start up here, facing like this. The rival catapult will also go on a hill over here. Then they decide to place their recon mech, the Locust, like so. The Taurians decide to place their Shadowhawk opposite. The Commando gets placed to guard the rear of the catapult. They place their Locust to do much the same thing. Shadowhawk gets placed front and center, ready to brawl. And the final Commando goes behind here to kind of lurk. We're deployed, so the game's going to start with an initiative roll, which of course means 2d6. Victory conditions, the winner is the side who cripples, both below or destroys all the other side's battle mechs first. Special rules for this scenario, mech is considered crippled under the following conditions. 1 or both legs destroyed, all of its weapons destroyed, its gyro is destroyed, or it's taken 2 engine critical hits, and if a mech exits the map for any reason, it's considered dead. Variations give you different forces to play with. Alright, so I got some movement dice here, again, to track movement rates, and let's make an initiative roll to see who's going first in round 1. So for the Taurians, an 11 coming out strong, and a 10 for the Great F Legion. So losing, the Great F Legion will have to activate a mech first. Well, coming out strong, we're going to look at the movement points. We can walk 4, run 6, or jump 4 for the mechs here for the catapult. And I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to jump. We're going to pivot for 1 point, and then we're going to jump. And we're going to ignore all this terrain when we do the jumping movement for 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. And that gives it a jump move. Dice with a move modifier 3. Allow us to start getting up high, because we ignore the elevation and stuff when we make our jump move. We're going to wait a sec for our catapult, I think, on the Taurian side, because they get to kind of hold down now. And they're going to activate their Locust. Locust is speedy quick. It walks 8 or runs 12. So it's actually going to get running movement. And it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because it has to go up to level 1. And then 12, because it stays in the same level. Flanking. Commander didn't like that much, so he's going to take a walk, I think. They're also speedy quick. They go 6 walking or 9 running. So 6 is going to be able to take him 1, pivot, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 will put him on top of this rock. So that's what he's going to do with a walk. He's walking speed 1. He has exposed himself a little bit, though. But I think we're going to wait a second for these two, because they're kind of dueling, and jump up with the catapult, take advantage of that. So also using jumping movement, he can go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land at level 1 or level 2 here. 1, 2, 3. So he can go 1, 2, 3 and land in that. Be able to see over the list level 2 as well. Well, that leaves the Shadowhawk and the Locust to go. So the Shadowhawk's going to make a big play. It's a pretty good, like, kind of like striker cavalry mech. It walks 5 and runs 8. It wants to get in position right now, so it's actually going to run and go probably to take a look at him and try and gang up. So 1, if he goes 1, 2, turn for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to climb up. You just stay behind here for now because you won't be able to get to see the catapult, and just go 8. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up a little cover from the commando. Got him running. So the commando then, take a walk up. Going 1, it could walk 6 or run 9. Does it want to run? I think it wants to run 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Forces the Locust to go. He can run 12 again. He's going to try and flank this Shadowhawk. Or maybe flank him. He'll flank him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Go 11, 12 to here if he pivots 1 square earlier, or 1 hex earlier. I'll give him a bead running. Can the Shadowhawk make a play on him? He might be able to if he jumps. He can only jump 3 though, actually. I forgot his jump jets are a little bit undergunned for his weight. So if he decides he wants to run, he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, turn, 5, 6, 7, 8. But he won't make it up on the hill to be able to see. We'll see next turn. So he can just run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And hang out and wait. All the movement done. So everyone's movement points spent. We're into the weapons phase. So now there are some additional things that can happen in this. You've got things like additional or sort of like modifiers, like water, doing depth changes in water, light and heavy woods, changing your movement cost, changing facing, standing up if you're knocked down. And of course, if you want to drop to the ground, you can also just fall down and then try and move back up again. A mech always has a minimum movement. They can always move into the square directly in front of them as long as they have 1 movement point to spend. Minimum amount they can move. So no matter what, you can always take 1 step forward basically during the course of a game. If you're immobile, things like buildings, hexes, mechs that are shut down and abandoned, if they're missing all 4 limbs, or if they have an unconscious mech warrior. And the following things are not immobile. Mobile mechs that choose to stand still, prone mechs, mechs missing 2 legs, mechs reduced to 0 MP by actuator damage or heat, and a mech with its gyro destroyed. Immobile unless it specifically states that you are. And then finally, you can move while prone a little bit. If mech begins the movement phase prone, it must declare whether it wants to walk or run before it attempts to stand up. And if you stand up, you're going to make a piloting check. Alright, so we're on the combat phase now. After all players complete their movement phase, mechs engage in combat. Battle mechs use 2 forms of combat, weapons and physical attacks. Of course, it's just going to be weapon attacks right now because no one's engaging each other in melee. What's a target? The target of attack can almost be anything, as long as you can shoot at it. In this case, we're shooting mech on mech. Line of sight is going to be drawn from the center of a hex to the center of the target hex, and it will be intervened by anything. So in this case, I'm on level 0 right now. There's level 1 terrain in the way. So I can't see over this necessarily. Level 2, but if it's level 1, I can, because I'm assumed to be 2 levels tall. So every mech represents 2 levels, and a level 1 basically just gives us cover. Prone, I would go down to level 1. Also, if I was standing in water that was depth 1 with level 1 next to me, I'd technically be down 2. So you have to actually stack all the heights to see who can see who. Woods are considered to be 2 levels higher than the thing they're on. So a wood on level 0 is 2 levels tall. So obviously this is blocking my line of sight, I can't see over it. This one right here would be 3 levels tall, because it's 2 plus the level 1 height of the hill that it's on. Trees don't block line of sight unless there's 3 hexes of them between you and me, but 1 hex of a hill that's at equal height to us would block our line of sight. Also notice that all of these hexes are numbered from 101 all the way down here to 31117. These coordinates are actually used if you wanted to play this by mail, if you want to do like a sort of like a telepresence game of it, and also to plot coordinates for things like artillery. So we're going to start with the catapult over here to be able to take some shots. The Great Death Legion are going first because they lost the initiative roll. He's got a great line of fire. He's on level 1, which means he can see over the level in front of him. And he's got a couple of targets. Now, the ones he can't see right now, center to center, are probably going to be the other rival catapult. He's in, oh no, he's not in actually a woods hex, never mind. And the line, I don't think, actually goes through 3 hexes from middle to middle. No, it only goes through 2. So he can see that other catapult. And he's going to try and blast him before he gets blasted himself. Now, the other option would be... Actually, I don't think he can be seen, because there's 1 level and then 2 levels of terrain in between them. So he's too tall. This thing's in the way, and then the one he's next to is in the way as well. So he's actually going to be obscured. He could shoot the Locust. He's in arc, which means that's his front arc right there. He could also twist his torso to try and see. Everything is in his line of fire. Now, the easier of the 2 targets is probably going to actually be this catapult. The Locust has a very high movement this turn. He ran, and there's 1 hex in the way, versus the catapult, who has jumped. Actually, he might even be just as hard to hit. He also has 2 pieces of terrain in the way. So I think we're actually going to take a shot at the Locust. Your catapult has 2 medium lasers, a medium laser. Now these have only got 9 hex ranges. They might barely be in range. An LRM that can shoot up to 21, and another LRM that can shoot up to 21. So lots of little lasers. How many hexes away is Mr. Locust? He might barely be in range. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's in long range for the lasers. Let's start. Let's see if we can do the lasers. There's 3 of them. They are going to cause 3 heat each if I fire them all, though. Holy moly. So if I fire everything right now, I'm going to generate 19 heat. I'm going to go and blow up to here. It's like not the best thing to do during my first turn for 3 shots that are super inaccurate. So he's going to forego firing the lasers right now. So he has 4 medium lasers, my bad. Just because they're in bad range. So like his chances of hitting are really low. And also he jumped this turn. But it might be worth taking some medium range shots with the missiles. Because he's got a minimum range of 6 inches with them, I might not actually be able to fire at the Locust if it gets too close to me. So this might be the only chance. We got to do our gator, and that means we're in arc, right? We could even torso twist to face this way if we wanted to, and that would make it an even bigger arc. We don't need to. We're inside 7, so we're in medium range. So gator is the gunnery skill, which is 4. His attack modifier, which is going to be 3, so 7, 8, 9 for running. On the target, and then 10 because there's a piece of terrain in the way, 11 because he's in partial cover because there's a piece of cover on his hex. He can see over it, but it's blocking him. Even bother? We're probably not gonna get to fire them again if we don't. Yeah, I think we do it basically because if we don't, it would be 11s to hit the Locust. It would be 4. He's not in cover, but then 5, 6 for this, 7, 8 for range. Yeah, it'd be 14 to try and hit that. So even worse, actually. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 for range. Versus 4, 9, 10, 11 partial cover, 12, 13 for range. Actually, he can't fire with either. That's his movement modifier. He moved 12 squares this turn. How much is the movement modifier for that? Oh, sorry, that 2 doesn't apply, actually. It's his movement modifier. I'm getting that wrong right now. It would be, yeah, we don't apply that. It would be 3, 7 for his base gunnery skill with his movement modifier. So gunnery is 4. Attack modifier is 3, so that's going to be 7. Target is, he moved 12 hexes this turn. Well, between like 10 and 12 because he had to turn a little bit. Target movement modifier for 12 is going to be... Let's say move 10 to 17 plus 4. Yeah, there's 0 chance of this guy getting hit. Now, can anybody actually shoot then? Maybe this Locust could shoot. Yeah, the Locust could drive. He's got some he's got a 9 hex lasers. That's his best. So in arc, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he's in long range with those. He's going to be 4, 6 because he ran. 7 because of the piece of woods, 8 because of a piece of woods, 9 because of cover, and then he moved 8. And that's going to be 3, so 12. He's boxcars. No, I don't think anybody's firing this turn. Just that commando. I think everybody else either doesn't have line of sight or has just like the craziest, like no chance of actually hitting, and it would just cause a bunch of heat. Maybe you. What's your max range? 9 inches to shoot that Locust? Plus 4 because he moved 12 inches. So it would be 4, 5 for his movement modifier, 9 for his running, 10 for the partial cover. And he could shoot all of his guns, but it would cause a crazy amount of heat. Does he care? Short range missile launchers? No. Wait for it. We wait for the next turn. So now we have to apply heat. Because we finished the combat phase. There's no physical attacks, so combat for that's done. Nobody can really fire because everybody's too far away. And now we get into doing our heat application. So anybody who walked gets 1, anybody who ran gets 2, anybody who jumped gets +1 per hex, and a minimum of 3. If you got up, it's +1. Your weapons fire would cause them if you have them. -1 per operational heatsink, -1 per operational heatsink underwater. The first engine hit gets 5, and the second engine hit gets 10 per turn, every turn you have it. Ran, that'd be 2 heat. And then how many heat sinks does the Shadowhawk have? He has heatsink, 1 in the right torso. And I think that's it. He's got 1 heatsink, so he'll be -1 to that. He gains a 1. And every time there's an asterisk, we get something happening. Any way of doing it is pull the die off after you apply the modifier. So Mr. Locust ran, he'd get 2. I don't think he has 2 heat sinks, 4 heat sinks, 2 in each leg, holy moly, so he gets none. He's -4 to his heat generated. Well, that's good, because he generates a lot of heat when he fires his lasers, so being -4 is a huge deal. Also generated 1, Mr. Shadowhawk, so he's got nothing. He's got -4, so he's got nothing. Then the Commandos, they've got 4 heat sinks as well. Holy heat sinks, Batman. Meaning that the one that ran and the one that walked both generate 2, they get none. The Catapults have 4 heat sinks as well. 5 heat sinks, because one in the head. So 5 heat sinks, traveled 3 hexes jumping, so nothing. And 4 hexes, so nothing either. So no heat generated there. Good job, we're managing our heat pretty well. So we go to the end phase, and there's not really anything left to do because nothing else exciting has happened. So we reset, take off our dice, and get ready for the next turn. Up in the end phase, if you're unconscious, you might regain consciousness. You roll 2d6, see what happens. Torsos return to the forward-facing position when you're torso twisting. Reversed flipped arms, because you can shoot behind yourself if you have an arm. Return to the front, and then mechs can voluntarily shut down or be restarted voluntarily if they were already shut down in end phase. So if you get too hot, you can shut down. And a pilot in a submerged mech with critical damage to its life support system takes a damage because you start to drown. You can also take damage in the end phase from heat if your life support system is offline, because when you've got 15 to 25 heat, you start to like cook inside the cockpit, and if you have 25 or more, you take 2 damage. You'll see that each mech warrior has 10, 12 damage they can take before they die. Well, initiative, new phase, Taurians get a 5, the GDL gets a 10 again, so they get to go first, which means during the movement phase, actually, the Taurians will activate a mech. I think we start with Mr. Shadowhawk. He's just going to walk this turn, because he's pretty happy with where he is. He's going to go 1, 2, 3 to stand up there, 4. And then back up 1 for 5. Locust to get behind him, and he can torso to his left and right if he has to. But I think that Locust is probably going to end up trying to hunt somebody else, and maybe these 2 big boys are going to get into a fight. GDL is going to go with its catapult and go 1, 2, 3. I think it only moves 4. 4, and just be on the hill. Walking movement. Lord of the Roost. We're safe from missiles if we get close, and I think that's what the Locust is going to do. It is going to... Does it want to run again? I think it does. It's going to go 1... Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and just get right up there. That's with running movement, but point blank. The thing is, the Commando's got to expose himself, so he's going to try and maximize the effects of not dying and go 6. He'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and hug all this cover so this catapult can't just ace him. Catapult's happy where he is. He's actually just going to sit still. I think he'll maybe... No, he'll move 1. He'll just go pivot 1. And that way he's got maximum coverage. This is just torso twist to do that. So you know what? He's going to move not at all. He's just going to sit there. Then it's Shadowhawk or Locust for the GDL. The Commando's yet to move. So he could still respond, which means it's probably best to go with the Shadowhawk. And he can go 5. So he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, he'll just sit there. Just in case. That way he can torso twist left and right. And so it's Commando time, and the Commando needs to kind of respond, but also this Locust might get right up and blast us if we're not careful. So he could go and try and... He can go 9. He can go and try and hunt him. He could turn 1, 2... 3, 4, turn for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He'd just be dialed in then. Or he could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, he'll be dialed in there too. He's kind of trapped right now. Best bet, honestly, is probably just to try and brawl and take advantage of cover. And hope there's too many targets. He could also just ignore the Shadowhawk and hopefully go fight somewhere else, but then I think he's going to get hunted down by the Locust. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And he can always torso twist back if he has to, and that's a running move. And the Locust goes, and I think he's just going to hunt this Shadowhawk and go running. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He'd go 11, 12, but he wouldn't be able to torso twist back, I don't think. If he torso twisted here, yeah, he would. Run move, that's going to let him get into the rear arc. Movement's done, so gunnery's starting once again with the Taurians because they lost the roll. Now, none of the damage that gets applied here it gets applied until after everyone's fought, so we can't really stop anybody from doing anything. But we can make a mess of people. So I think we're going to start with running Locust over here, and he's just going to try and plow as many shots as he can into this catapult. Gator, he's got 4 for his gunnery skill, 5, 6 for his movement mod. Then he's in short range, so 0 for that. And the big Mr. Catapult, I think, only moved 2 hexes. Or 1 hex, so I don't think he gets even just +1 for that. So, you know, he doesn't get anything. And at least 3 to 4, so no mods for that either. So that means that his Gator is going to be 4, 5, 6 for moving, and then 0. He is on a woods though. No, he's not even on a woods. So center to center, nothing. So just 6. Giving him the boots with everything. Remember, he's got 1,000,000 heat sinks. He has what, 4 heat sinks? So if I unleash everything, I'm creating 8. I only get 4 heat from that. But the small lasers are actually at medium range. Never mind, they're going to hit on 8s because their short range is 1 hex, which means more hex. We can do a little Locust. You're going to start with your medium laser, hitting on a 6. Blam! Cranks it. So landing that shot, and we have to see what the hit location is for the catapult. He's not in the rear, so no rear armor, but he is on the right-hand side. So now we have to actually differentiate left side, right side, front. So on the right-hand side, we would have done that column. An 8. He gets hit in the center torso. Critical, so the center torso takes 5 damage from medium laser. Tries again with his small laser now on an 8, and misses. With his medium laser again on a 6, he misses. Oh, and the second small laser misses as well. Oh, you blew your chance. And he's going to generate 8 heat for firing all his weapons, but down to 4. Well, it's back to these fellas, the GDL. I think the catapult's just going to try and blast this commando out of the air, or out of the off the world, basically. 4 hexes away, so everything's in medium range except the LRMs that are actually not in range now. So we could divide our fire and shoot the rival catapult. We could also torso twist and shoot this fellow over here, but that would be pretty far away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He's still in medium range, but he'd be out of range with everything else. Wouldn't even need a torso twist. We could just do it. So maybe we'll do that. We'll split our fire. It'll be a +1 for both shots now because we're splitting our fire. So we'll put our medium lasers into him, and our LRMs we're going to dump into the Phoenix Hawk. The LRMs, they're going to be +1 to hit for, so 4, 5 for our movement bonus, 6 because we're splitting our fire, and then 7, 8 for medium range, 9, 10 for the 2 trees in the way. First one on a 10. Oh, so close. Second one. Misses. 10 heat though, and then his lasers, another 9 heat for this, are all going to try and dumpster this commando. So he's in medium range. This guy ran, and he ran probably under 7, because he did a bunch of turning too, and he had to climb up a little bit. So that's going to be +3. So that's going to be 4, 5, 8, 9 for this piece of terrain, 10 because of partial cover, 11 because he moved. So 3 shots on 11. First one, misses. Second one, misses. Third one, hits! Land on that commando in the 8. So he is in the Is he in the side arc? He's not in the side arc. He's still in the front arc. And that means front on an 8 is left torso. Laser's going to do 5 damage DE. I only got 6 armor there. It's almost destroyed. So then it's back to, with the GDL having gone, the Taurians. Not taking a line down, let's shoot back with that commando. So he's got SRM-6, an SRM-4, and a medium laser. They're all just outside of 3, so they're all medium range. So that's going to be... So Gator, 4, 5, 6 for his run, 7 for that piece of cover in the way, and I think that's it. 9 because of the distance, because it's a medium. So SRM-6, 9, nope. SRM-4, nope. Medium laser, yes. Where does that land? He's in the front arc. 6 in the front arc is going to be right torso. It's only going to be 5 damage. Generate 10 heat, but luckily once again he's got a whole bunch of heat sinks. 4 heat sinks. Yep, 4 heat sinks. Back to the GDL. This guy's gonna torso twist, so he's facing this way, which will put him in arc, and the Locust is gonna fire in the rear arc of Mr. whatchamacallit, Mr. Shadowhawk. So he's too far away for the short range for the small lasers, but he's in medium range. He's in short range for the medium lasers though. So he ran for 2, so that's going to be 6. 7 for how far he moved, because he was walking less than 4 or 5, I think. And that's going to mean 7 for that, 9 for the small lasers. So 7's for the medium lasers. First one, cranks it, hits him in the 5. Left side, it's left arm. Peel off a little bit of armor here. And then the next one's on a 9. Light laser. Nope. Then it's 7 again to the medium laser. Yes. Lands in the, on the right side again. 11. That's going to be, where's my cheat sheet? 11 on the left side. Right leg. Damage to the right leg. And then the other small laser. 11 hits. Where does it land? 7. That's going to be the left torso. Off a little bit more armor, and he's all done. And he's going to once again generate 8 heat, but he has 4 heat sinks, so he'll only generate 4 when it's all said and done. He ran. He'll generate 8, 10. Just the catapult and the Shadowhawk that haven't gone. I think the Shadowhawk's going to, if he torso twists, he could shoot this Locust and maybe kill it. And I think he will. He's going to torso twist and bring these guns to bear. Just shoot him, after all. So he's got a... He won't be able to shoot his LRM or his autocannon because they're going to be too close. But he can shoot his SRM and his medium laser. Just try and throw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He's just in range with everything. But the long range shots from the SRM and the autocannon, or sorry, and the medium laser are not great. Plus he can shoot at both targets though. He just got a +1 modifier. I think that's what he's gonna end up doing. So his SRM and his medium laser can shoot the Locust, and then everything else will go into the other Shadowhawk. 2 targets. They're both gonna be in front arc. Actually, they won't both be in. No, for weapon arcs they do. Yeah, because we're torso twisting. So. Because they're not in side arc. So that's going to be the SRM 2 is going to be on short range within 3. So that means he's 4, 5 because he moved, and then he ran 12 or like 11. So that's 9, and then short range, so nothing else. So just 9s for these 2. First one, nope. Second one, no. Misses with everything. And then it's going to be. Everything is in medium range now, so 4, 5 because he moved. He only walked like 2 hexes, so nothing for that. 6, 7 for range, 8 for this tree. So that's going to be the autocannon long range missiles. The long range missile hits, and it does. It's an LRM 5 and 1 damage per missile. Cluster hits table. Snake Eyes? Oh no. So LRM 5 is only going to be 1 damage. 1. Sorry, 7. And the side arc? Side arc is, because only did 1. Only 1 missile actually landed. Side, he's in the left side. Left torso. And will be the same. Misses. And that's going to generate, it looks like he ran for 2. Plus another 8 is 10. He has how many heat sinks? 1 heat sink. So he's going to go 9 heat for that. It's just this Shadowhawk on the GDL side left to go. And it's going to blast this commando as well. All right, well, he's in range with everything. So he's just going to dumpster it. So he's got an SRM2, which just does 2 damage per missile, an LRM5, which is inside minimum range, so can't actually fire. The auto cannon can't fire either because it's within 3. So it's just going to be the medium laser and the SRM2. But pretty easy to hit because he is in short range. So that means 0 mod for that, +1 for moving, so 5, and he's in the open. He did, however, move like 7 squares, which will probably give him, I think, at least a +2. +3. Turned N1 up in elevation. There's no way he moved 7. He moved 6. It'll be a +2. So +3, so 7s. So first the SRM2, it misses, and then the auto or the medium laser misses as well. It actually generates 5 heat. So those are the things that generate the most heat, and mean that with his walk, that's 6 heat, and 1 heat sink, he'll be at 5 at the end of the turn. Catapult, what do you got? Nobody's really hurting yet. You can shoot the other catapult, but I think you're actually best off shooting over here. We're gonna go center to center to here. You've got probably 1, 2 trees in the way. That looks like 1 tree. So 1 tree in the way. He only moved 2 hexes, so no modifier for that. And you're in pretty much good range for everything except for your lasers. It's just gonna be your rockets that are gonna fire. Torian catapult firing back at the Shadowhawk. He's got a LRM 15. It's going to be in range for both these things. He's outside of 9. He's inside 14, so he's in medium range. So didn't move at all. So 0. And then he moved not enough to cause any kind of stuff. So it's 1 thing in the way. So it's going to be 4 or 5 for the trees. 6, 7 for range. LRM 15s. First one on a 7. Hits. So now this is a rocket launcher again. And you actually roll for every missile that lands to see where they land. They do 2 damage per hit. For the catapult, no, so he's 1 damage per hit, and it's an LRM 15, so let's see the cluster damage. How much cluster hit? 10 on 12. That's going to be 15, so 10 on 15, 12 hits. 12 times on the hit location table to see where it lands. Because LRMs are so big, when you see how much lands, you actually group them into pods of 5. So 12 hits is a hit of 5, a hit of 5, and a hit of 2. So that means we're going to end up rolling 3 times on the hit location. And if we do roll Snake Eyes, it could be a critical. So the first one, Snake Eyes. So the front center torso gets a critical hit. 5 damage to center torso, and we get to roll on the center torso critical hit table. Oh man, that could happen if we roll an ammo. It's going to be bad. So 1 to 3, it's going to be either the engines or the gyro. 4 to 6, it's going to be the fusion engines, gyro, or jump jets or ammo. This is going to be bad. So if it hits the SRM ammo, you take the number of shots remaining, and we had how many shots on that? It's out of 50, so we had 49 shots left, times its damage. So an SRM is damage 2 per missile, so we've fired... sorry, it's 2 missiles we've fired, so there'd be 48 left. So 48 times 2, we take 96 points of damage. Apply to its internal damage track. So I'm pretty sure that just kills it if it goes off. All right, so let's see where it lands. So critical to torso lands in the 3, 1 to 3. 1 to 3, we should be okay because the fusion engine and the gyro can take some hits, but on a 4 to 6, it could be bad. Uh-oh. Now we roll again. On a 1, it's the gyro. 2 to 3 fusion engines. 4, the fusion engine as well. 5, it's a jump check. 6, it's the ammo. Still roll a 6. Oh no! So he takes 96 points of damage to his internal structure. And he can take 13, 26, plus 18 is 44, plus 26 is 70-ish. 44 and 26 is 70, 98. So he's dead because you start and you work your way out from the location that gets damaged. So basically his torso explodes and there's like some bits of his feet left. A little point there and 1 little point there left. And he's just like a smoking pair of boots. The missile hadn't even hit yet. Where did it hit? Also in the torso? Boxcars? That's going to be the head. Oh, even worse. It's damage to the head, and then the 3rd cluster would hit in the 9, which is left leg. Lucky critical, that's first blood to the Taurians. Now you can see here, we're on turn 2, and with the final exam done, the Taurians are now outmatching the GDL, and the exam director will basically rule it in their favor. But we haven't taken a lot of damage. Even the lights that were in like point blank range, there's some movement stuff, hadn't taken a lot of damage. The heat phase this turn, we were going to start getting into modifiers and stuff though. Because the heavier mechs, like for instance, this Shadowhawk, taking those long range shots took him to 9 heat. So he was going to be at +1 to hit all the time and -1 movement points, which would slow him down. So there's like the heat sinks would start to reduce that stuff if he didn't fire all of his weapons, but they're heating up and slowing down, which means they actually become even less efficient at killing each other and less armor is being blown off. I was going to give the chance for some of these more efficient mechs like this little guy to wait and see what these guys have done because they're numerically an advantage now, and just again run around behind him and start zapping him with his short range lasers. Much a maneuvering game. There is a lot of bookkeeping in the game. I would recommend if you want to play a full lance on lance game like this, if you're gonna do it to the death for the first time, probably play with just 2 mechs. Like pick 2 of the mirrored mechs from this this box set and play against each other, or even just 2 mechs of roughly the same tonnage. Like if you had one box set and you took, let's say, the Commando and the Phoenix Hawk against the Wolverine and a Locust, you know what I mean? You'd have a pretty evenly matched game as far as just like tonnage and their battle values. A rough point value. So like a Locust is 553 and a Wolverine is... That's the Griffin. He actually doesn't come in this box set, but he does come in the beginner box. They give you the stats for him, the full stats, which is nice. The Wolverine is 1100. So you're looking at 1660-ish. And if you had that against the Phoenix Hawk, or sorry, the Shadowhawk rather. The Shadowhawk is 1064, and the Commando is 541. So again, 1064, 541, it's again about 1600. So at about 1600 battle value, this is pretty balanced, you know what I mean? So if you want to play it a one box set, I would just swap forces. And play that same scenario with just 2 mechs on 2 mechs. Because then you've got one kind of recon mech and one sort of like a skirmisher or striker mech. They're both relatively fast. Their armaments are relatively similar. And that would mean that you'd have a nice balanced like excursion of the game, and you wouldn't have to do quite as much bookkeeping. You get to play with the cool toy soldiers instead of playing with the models. You could also play it on the single mat that comes in the box set that way too, and have your forces not have to like fill up the table quite so much by trying to use all of them against each other. But that's relatively you know, like in-depth application of all of the rules in the game. We get to apply some heat, see the critical hits in action, witness the bookkeeping of the structure and the armor and like how locations are destroyed and stuff like that. And there's so much more to this game. If you really want to get into it, and you've got this box set and you want to add things like infantry, airplanes, trains, submarines, different terrain types, there is so much depth to this game. Like you can mix the RPG into it. There's just like, of course you can also design your own mechs. That's actually, sorry, the last thing I should have mentioned is they do put the mech design rules in here. So starting with a chassis and starting to actually customize your mechs, they do give the basic rules for that in here, and throwing in weapons and equipment, things like flamethrowers, machine guns, all that stuff, and how to like throw on your own mechs onto the sheets to kind of customize them the way you like. So there you go, a look at Battletech, a game of Armored Combat, the sort of like 1 to 2 player starter set from Catalyst Game Labs. And if you're looking for a crunchy mecha combat sim, you can't go far from the classics. And this is the classic sort of like granddaddy of mech combat sims. If you're a fan of the genre, they've got everything you want in here, from mech construction, heat management, weapon management, ammunition management, armor and internal structure management, lots of cool campaign stuffs, and so much to expand into with the Total Warfare book. If you're looking for a couple hours in the evening of like really sort of like kitchen table friendly mech combat, this game has stood the test of time with very little rules drift and tons of detail, and it gives you tons and tons to sink your teeth into. So it's both like affordable price point wise, has tons and tons and tons and tons of like depth to drill into. So there's wide with different types of units, like aerospace units and infantry and tanks and trucks and all that stuff, and then deep with all the customization and stuff you can do. It's got a rich background universe. It's got a crazy old cartoon you can find online as well, and like just a huge loyal and rabid fan base. So if that's for you, go check it out. Big thanks for watching. Thanks, Ash. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Death Ray Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.